So the question is, do you save up the tokens for the Wampa? Well, this is my Buttercup, and she's a little temperamental. Um, yes, I know. Don't worry, don't worry. She's a little temperamental, but she can pretty much whip anybody you put her up against. She will take down an entire team if you're able to defend her. And even though I haven't got many players that support her abilities, I'm sure once I've added some of those to my arena team, she's going to become pretty devastating. Yes, I know. Don't you worry. So first off, the question is, how do you unlock the Wampa? Well, the Wampa's only available with guild tokens, and they can only be collected in the shipment store. These gold thingies here. The chances are you know about these already. That's why you're watching this video, because you're wondering, do I save up? Before I be as obvious as to say yes, you're going to want to know why. But yes, you're also going to wonder whether you save for Hermit Yoda or the Wampa, because obviously Hermit Yoda's got his own little abilities. I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience fighting teams with Hermit Yoda. And fighting teams with the Wampa, and I'm going to talk about how I'm able to kill Hermit Yoda and how I've seen my own Wampa get defeated. So we're going to cover all of this. Now, getting hold of these tokens is quite easy. You just need to be in a guild that undertakes territory battles and territory wars, and you earn these tokens. The only problem here, and why it's a question, is because the guild event store is the best store here. They're not for sale in here right now. But you can see all of this tricky stuff that you need. But they also sell in here. Stun gun salvage, and we know how important stun gun salvage is. It's just really hard to get hold of, and you can buy them for these tokens. It's also a really good place, as you can see as we scroll to the top, to get the gold gear, the Mark 12 gear, to get your players up to gear 12. So the temptation to spend this stuff on this gear for your other characters is really, really high. It's really, really high. I, however, saved, got my little Buttercup, and she's devastating. So that's how you get her. So let's understand why she's so devastating. Let's go through her abilities, and I don't want to be as obvious as to go through each one, but I want to explain what each one does in battle rather than just to read. So the important thing here is that the Womp is just massive hits. The lowest I've had on my Gear 5 Wampa is 12,000. Of course, that's with a little bit of that's without resistance or evasion, etc. 12,000 damage on a basic. This Womp has taken 47 away from Darth Sion in the Sith raids. 47 on one hit. The average hit without any crit is, for me at this level with the mods I've got, which I'm going to look at, is between 14 and 16,000 as an average. But this is a basic ability, taking 16,000 damage off. With a crit, it's between 27 and 30. Depending on RNG, I guess, depending on that little bit of luck. I did have a little go with her with a Boba Fett lead, because he gives 50% damage on his on his leader ability. Well, I have to investigate that further, but this thing is devastating. If you add to that, this attack has 100% offense against rebel targets. So you're hitting twice. You know, where I'm hitting 12 and 13 and 14 on a Darth Vader, I'm putting 24, 25 up against a Rebel Luke. You know, the Wampa is a direct counter to CLS, to Commander Luke Skywalker, in the form of abilities. It's a direct counter, which makes good sense because they were in the film against each other. Or certainly the Wampa had designs on good old Luke. So that's the basic attack. Big hits, and remember, it's a counter as well. The Wampa counters, so it's not just one hit then wait for your turn. It's one hit and then potentially counter. Now, how does Icebreaker work? Icebreaker is an attack over area, but the nice thing about it is that it dazes enemies. Now, the good thing about it is obvious. If you're facing a rebel team and they've got buffs and debuffs, then the days will affect that. But what it does is it also gains protection, 150% protection until the next time this ability is used. Okay, so that's a permanent upgrade of protection, and if you really protect this thing, it can take a lot of smacks. It can take a lot of smacks. My Wampa is usually the last character to die, and I run a really well geared up General Kenobi. He often dies before the Wampa, and that's simply because the Wampa can take such a kicking, and that's a counter damage. So already with just these two, we're good. Now, Furious Foe, I've got Zeta on, and it was a tough choice for me for this. But the reason I chose the Zeta for this is because, and not the other ability, which we'll look at in a second, is because the Wampa fits in any team. It's a dark side attacker, but that's it. It can feed off damage over time, as we can see. Where is it? Is it this one? No, that's on the next ability. It can feed off of damage over time, so it's good with Darth Vader as a lead. But you can put the Wampa in pretty much anything for your arena team. So what this does, it doesn't attack the enemy, but with the Zeta, inflict healing immunity on all enemies for 2 turns. Right now, in my experience, at the kind of 100, 150, maybe going up to 60 range in the arena, it doesn't stick on everybody, but it certainly forces a cleanse, so you're wasting a turn. It can be evaded. I don't know why it says it can't be evaded, because it can. It doesn't stick on everybody. Wampa gains 40% accuracy and 40% critical chance and 40% offense stacking. So again, what happens here is you've already got a basic attack that's going to hit for 16 or 17. This is what turns it up to a 37 or a 40. And of course, the nicest thing about this is that Wampa gains 15% turn meter for each defeated ally and each active enemy. So if you're struggling, Wampa gets faster. Okay, so it's all about the Wamp. It's all about the Wamp. This aids the Wamp, and like I said, one hit can be. I've seen 47 on mine, and mine's only a 5-star. Then we've got Cornered Beast. So let's not look at the Zeta. Let's look at what I've got. Wampa has 50% counter chance. Okay, so if you're facing a rebel team, which is best for the Wampa, and they've got Baze in there, or even Old Ben. I see a team with Old Ben, it's like a dream. Every time that Wampa counters, he takes out that tank. So that tank is gone in 3 hits of the Wampa, and that tank is gone. If I go up against any team with AoE, the tank is finished. Where this comes into its own, though, is the Zeta, which I don't have yet, but you can see I'm building up these 4. And this is where the Darth Vader lead is going to help. A 50% counter chance, which I already have, and Wampa has 10% counter chance, 5% health steal, 5% offense for each damage over time effect on each enemy. Right, so that's potentially a 100% counter. Okay, so we've got 5 enemies, 5 DOTs, 50%, 5, so we've got 100% counter. Of course, if you look at Darth Vader's leadership Zeta, he's got permanent damage over time on all enemies. So this really makes the Wampa a nasty character to fight. He's just going to smack the heck out of everybody. This is what I'm working to, a Darth lead and Wampa on that ability. However, like I said, it fits pretty much anywhere, which is really nice. Now I want to look at the way I've modded this one. I've gone for speed and protection, because remember there's 150% counter up. So I've got speed and I've got protection as much as I can. Critical damage, this is a really good mod. This is the best mod I own out by far. So critical damage I've gone for here, and 2,478 protection on that, plus a percentage of protection. But the day that rolled, I could have bought a new car the day that rolled. So again, protection. Go down here. I've gone with some speed, so 16 speed, and again protection. 13 speed and the overall protection percentage. 13 speed and protection. This one's going to get switched out as soon as I get something better. Obviously offense, but again 13 speed and a bit more protection. So I've got some improvements to make on this, but certainly it's protection and speed, but of course ensuring that you've got crit damage on there. These sets are here by luck. I didn't plan to have any sets. So this is all very nice, and we've talked about the Wampa, and I'm going to play some games with the Wampa in a little bit. But I want to just talk you through how I unlocked the Wampa, because I think this is probably going to make it a little bit easier. As you know, when you unlock a character, you unlock it at a certain star level, and then you just grind and grind and grind until the flipping thing is up to a decent level, you know. And it takes months to get somebody up to a gear 12 or even a gear 11, you know. Especially with the blooming stun guns, because they don't even drop. They're horrible things, and so many characters need them. So you just grind and grind and grind. Now, what I did with the Wampa was I opened up an Excel sheet. Well, first off, I went to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.gg, so SWGOH.gg. I went to the Wampa page in characters. I advise you to use this website if you haven't. Simply scroll down and went to gear, so full gear list. I opened up an Excel sheet and I wrote down everything in here on my Excel sheet. Okay, if you click on it, you can see where you get this gear. So what I did in my Excel sheet was I wrote down the name of the gear that I needed, one light side and one dark side, so that I could concentrate on these when I fulfilled my daily missions, where possible, a normal and a hard as well, so that I could take care of that. And I simply, knowing that I was going to get her, I simply pre-geared the Wampa. And I did that, like I said, I did it in actually Google Docs, but still, you know, you can use an Excel if you're in 1994. But I basically pre-geared her so that once she was unlocked at level 5, she was fully ready to go. It wasn't an inconvenience at all. I was able to get her up to gear 11 simply by clicking buttons. I'd saved everything. I foregoed all other characters so that it wasn't a grind. I am still almost ready for gear 12. As soon as I get the stars up, which is going to take a long time because I've got to rely on gear events. As soon as I get the stars up, then that's when I'm able to unlock it to gear 12. But I've got pretty much everything already. What we're going to look at now is we're going to look at some fights. And how Wampa acts during these fights, how Wampa does what I've just said she's going to do. So this is Galactic Wars from earlier. I was testing out Wampa with the crit damage. So I wondered if Boba's lead was was useful. I'm not really going to talk about this. You can look at the fight as it goes along. But what I want to talk about is how to use the Wampa and how to beat, as I said I would earlier. So the Wampa has two main abilities, as we saw, but the primary main ability is the Wampa itself. So actually choosing to hide the Wampa kind of removes the fact that you have a massive counter-attack ability. I choose to hide the Wampa behind R2's stealth and behind a GK taunt, but once I move into a Darth leadership, obviously the Wampa's going to become exposed. I'll still have GK in there, but the Wampa's going to become exposed and is going to take hits, and it's hopefully going to counter a little more effectively than she does right now, because at the moment she's only 50%, and I'm looking for that 100%. So to use the Wampa, it's a full-on attacker. Obviously, there's no messing around. It's a single use. It's kind of a single use character. It kills people. So I also find a lot of use using Ezra, because Ezra gives an ally assist, and you can choose the ally. So I especially find that useful for raids on the Traya and Scion areas. I don't have a Thrawn to fracture Nihilus, so I'm pretty much screwed on the first element of that. But giving the Wampa extra attacks is absolutely brilliant. I'm also leveling up now. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Bondi or Bodai, whatever he is? Bondi or Budai Rook, the guy in the Galactic War store, the Rogue One guy, because he has the same ability as Ezra. He also gives me the ability to call a specific ally for an attack. So what I'm hoping for is I'm hoping to be able to call the Wampa twice by two different characters. I'm also considering Admiral Akbar in there for his tactical genius, or whatever it's called, because again, then I get a 100% turn me to on his basic. So I'm actually hoping to grant the Wampa as many extra attacks as possible. What I found in terms of defeating the Wampa is you have to stun it. When I've lost fights in the arena, it's been against teams that have superior speed. A teams where I go first, then they go, then I go. I always win 5-0. I mean, there's no question about it. I rise very easily. When it's just an even matchup. But against teams where you they've all got like plus 200, I kind of struggle, and that's not necessarily because the Wampa fails me, but because my other characters get taken out. So, I have a very squishy Palpatine in my arena squad. He's only useful when he gets to go first. If he gets taken out, then he's it's a wasted character. It's gone. So I kind of found this. This with it. If you stun the Wampa, then it's the same as any other character, but you've got to focus all of your attacks on it to get rid of it. Because as you can see there, I mean, it's protection up. Protection up on something that massive really is difficult. Something else I found as well with playing with Grandmaster Yoda. Grandmaster Yoda has the ability to steal taunts and to pass them on to allies. I played a few matches against Jedi training teams. I think I did a video with one of those. And I gave Wampa something like six buffs. I mean, look, 30,000 a hit, just 30,000 a hit. I mean, characters just get whacked. They're not even rebels. They're Night Sisters, so there's no reason why the Wampa should be hitting extra hard on them. But I found Grandmaster Yoda passing buffs onto the Wampa makes it really deadly. Now, in terms of Hermit Yoda and whether you make the choice as to whether you go for the Wampa or the Hermit Yoda, I haven't got Hermit Yoda unlocked, but I fought plenty of teams with Hermit Yoda, and most of those teams have been full of Jedi. Now, my experience with the Jedi is that they're kind of fast and dodgy, but they really aren't that hard to kill. So, noting that that Hermit Yoda doesn't actually stay alive once the fourth person is down, he's not really too hard to beat. It's almost the opposite of the Wampa, in that the Wampa, even with a very tanky General Kenobi, and my General Kenobi's got 96,000 protection on, even with that, the Wampa stays alive until the end. So even though I don't have Hermit Yoda, I would most certainly choose the just sheer force of the Wampa over Hermit Yoda. So in conclusion, save up, right? Save up. Never mind those nice attractive stun guns. Never mind those carbantis or whatever they're called, right? You can do without them. You can't do without this massive, beautiful beast. Massive, beautiful beast that just whacks the hell out of everybody. Fits in any team. Doesn't have any allegiance to light or dark. Is merely a dark side attacker. When it comes to territory battles and you're facing rebel enemies, and the Wampa has a 100% offense against rebel enemies, it's just a decimation. I mean, it's just a decimation of them. Look at that, 13,000. That's a really small hit. 13,000 is a really small hit. Like I said, I got 47 on a 5-star character in this iron. So that's it. I hope that's been useful. I hope this has helped you make your decision. Just to repeat, go to the Star Wars, SWGOH.gg. Check the gear that you need. Open yourself up a Google Docs or an Excel. Pre-gear it, and then once you unlock it, just run riot in the arena. Because my Wampa, admittedly, I prepared a team around for the Wampa's arrival, but my Wampa pushed me up from around the 400 mark to battling for 100. That's the difference it makes.